I just got vaccinated today. I bet a whole bunch of you are doing so as well. And so that means that you and your D&D party are having the complicated problem of doing some sort of mixed remote game. Some of you might not be safe, some of you might be safe to play in person, and so that imposes a interesting problem for running the game well. I personally believe I run a rather decent mixed remote game, and so I think I have some valuable insight that I can share for you all to play together and have fun, both in person and remote together. So, without further ado, let's start with the technical setup that you'll have to do. What you will need is, at the very bare bones, you'll just need all your phones. Assuming that you have Wi-Fi and smartphones, you can all just get the Discord app. It's free, it works great. Everybody just connects to the same server, and all you need is one of those phones to have the camera pointed at whatever your tabletop is. So that the remote players can see what's on the tabletop and they can see their minis moving around, etc., etc. Then the in-person players, if you all have a little headset with a little microphone dongle on it, you'll just talk into the microphone dongle, make sure you're kind of speaking clearly into it. It's going to become kind of a balancing game of echo from other players, so that your remote players are going to hear probably you speaking into your microphone, and other players might pick that up as well. So it's going to become a balancing game of tweaking settings. The noise reduction settings in Discord and stuff are rather powerful and good, so you can always experiment there. You can also experiment muting different players. If one person's mic can cover two different people, that's always helpful. Limiting the amount of hot mics in the room is a good goal to go for. I personally run this mic that you see right here. It has a room mic setting, so right now it's only hearing me from in front of the mic, but I can have it listen 360 degrees. So I put this in front of my DM screen, and then it picks up the whole room. And so then, if you're running the bare bones setup with your headsets, you hear the remote players in your headsets. However, in this room mic setup, what you can do is nobody needs headsets, nobody needs their phone, except for the one phone recording the tabletop to screen share or to stream to the Discord. And then the remote players, we have my desktop computer is right here. I have the Discord sound come out of the speakers on my PC, and if you enable echo cancellation in Discord, the remote players won't hear themselves speak echoing back to them through Discord. So we hear them nice as if they were in the room, and all the players in the room speak at a regular volume, and the room mic picks it up. Other upgrades you can do that we have, and I'll show on the screen here, is having multiple webcams, one facing your tabletop. That's really the only thing you'll need. If you wanted to expand more, we also have a webcam facing the room. Both of these are Logitech webcams, so they play nicely with this Logi capture software. And so you can screen these two webcams together to get a nice combined view for your remote players to see, and that doesn't sacrifice too much from the experience. The other thing you can try and do is if you have multiple devices laying around, like I have an iPad that I don't use during the game, if you have laptops and stuff, have your players bring more of their devices that they can use Discord with, and if you need to make more burner accounts for Discord, then that's fine. And you just have each device kind of stream the face view of your remote players, so the in-person people can see the remote players' faces and stuff, and that will help their feeling of feeling united and playing together. And the only consideration there is if your Wi-Fi network can't handle too much bandwidth, or if any of your players' bandwidth is not too phenomenal, limiting the video streaming as much as possible is going to be really valuable. So if you're not able to see any of their faces, ask your remote players turn off video of streaming their own faces to you, so you can save on that bandwidth and just get a better sound quality, because that's what truly matters. People can play with only just seeing the map. They don't need to stream their faces. However, if you have the network for that, it's really nice. Another upgrade to the setup can be Tabletop Simulator. I have many videos going into how to make maps and how to run D&D in Tabletop Simulator. What's great about this is that you can show the Tabletop Sim on your laptop that you have streaming video, and then you, instead of a webcam showing a tabletop on the table, you can just share screens in Discord. It's basically the same thing, but instead of being a physical tabletop, it's just you're running Tabletop Sim. And then what's nice about that is the remote players can then enter your multiplayer game of Tabletop Sim, and they can manually move their minis, which is a nice little degree of involvement that they would definitely lose in a regular tabletop, like a physical with physical minis. If they were remote, they're not going to be able to touch their minis. They're going to have to be like, oh, can you move me to this square? And that's just a degree of separation that's nice to bridge using Tabletop Simulator. So if you'd like to see more Tabletop Sim content, please follow the screen above, and I'll show you some sweet stuff. The last thing that's a nice to have upgrade is Spotify Premium for at least one person in person and all of the remote players. If they don't care for having United Music, then they don't need Spotify Premium. However, what you can do is you can start a group session in Spotify Premium, send the link to all of your remote players, and then whoever's the DJ will control all of the Spotify music that your group is listening to. It's really good for having this united soundscape so that everybody can go through the same auditory experience, both in person and remote. The other factor to consider is how to run the game well in a mixed remote setting. It is not the same as fully remote or fully in person. It's easy to assume that you could just play the game as usual. However, it introduces some unique challenges, namely its involvement of the remote players. It's really easy, as you can probably know from the past year or so in remote Zoom meetings, etc. If you get cut off while speaking in this big group meeting online, it's easy to shy away and let other people talk. And in D&D, where everybody has to participate to feel fully involved and as part of the story, it's important to make sure that the remote players don't get gun-shy about talking. So what I do personally as a DM is whenever I hear from my PC on Discord somebody kind of pipe up, but then they get interrupted and they stop, I let the person in person finish their current sentence. If they're going to dive into a big tale, I'm going to be like, oh, sorry, 1 second. Hey, you player remote, what were you about to say? Give priority in conversation to the remote players, and they will appreciate that. They will feel more involved, and they'll have less of a barrier to speaking and participating in the game. The other thing to be wary of is making sure everybody has their drinks and their food and everything set up. It's just really important to stay on the ball with your momentum in the game to keep everybody bought in. As you can imagine, it's rather easy to stay bought in person. However, when you're in a mixed remote setting, losing those remote players' buy-in, if they get tired, if they get kind of desynced from the action, it's hard to reel them back in. So making a smooth game a priority is very important and very valuable. The last thing I can recommend for running a partially remote game is, especially on that first session, have some patience. There's going to be some technical hurdles. You're going to have to work out a whole bunch of sound balancing and who's muted and who's not muted and how the bandwidth works, and if you're going to have to cut out some video screens from other people and stuff so that you can use your bandwidth most effectively. All that type of stuff. It's going to be clunky the first time around. Plan for maybe an hour of just technical setup. But once you get it running and smooth, you're going to have a nice, close approximation of a fully in-person game, and your remote players won't feel like they're missing too much value because they weren't able to join you for this session. And hopefully, as these vaccines roll out both here in the US and all across the world, this will become a thing of the past, and now you'll have in your toolbox the ability to rapidly say, oh, sorry guys, my car broke down and I'm not going to be able to attend tonight's session, but I'd still like to play. Boom, you've already got your kinks worked out. You know how to run the game partially remote. So I was Drew, here at the Everhearth Inn, hoping that you're running a great game and helping you to run an even better one. Have a good one.